there, Allie Dunn here, Enneagram expert and leadership coach, and actually on the topic of the Enneagram and leadership. What is your leadership style depending on your Enneagram type? And why is leadership style important? It's really important because you need to understand the way you show up in the world, how people see you, how you manage, how you connect, and your leadership style doesn't even necessarily have to be at work. It also can be how you show up in your home. It also can be how you show up when you're presenting, how you show up in your relationships, all of those things. It's just when someone thinks of you and the way that you communicate and you connect, that often can be described as your leadership style. So if you are a type 1, the strict perfectionist, your motivation is to do the right thing. So your standards are quite high. In a work setting as a 1 leader, you really are going to expect a high level of contribution, work, service of your team. Your standards are high for them, but actually can be higher on yourself. So you have a tendency to be hard on yourself. You're conscientious, you are organized, you keep the pace moving forward. You want to feel connected and respected to your team, but you also need space to do the work and make sure that you get everything done. If you are a 2, which is the considerate helper, for you, you're very people focused. So in your leadership style, you are warm, giving, and caring. You often are thinking about others' needs first before yours. So people probably have come to you with their problems. They trust you. So you create this warm, trusting environment. And sometimes with the 2 for your leadership style, you want to try to get into that strategic place because you're so people focused, it may take away from the tactical or strategic work that you need to do in your role. So to balance yourself out, going inward a little bit, thinking about, let's say, your company goals, and then also thinking about the people goals and how you can blend the 2 versus being so people focused. If you are a 3, your leadership style is very competitive. Let's say you're the competitive achiever. So you're goal focused, your pace is fast, you're often, working all hours at all costs. You're very committed to the success of your own role and also the success of your organization. So as a leader, people really look to you for inspiration. They look to you to understand kind of the strategies towards getting certain goals. Where it can come up sort of in conflict or tension is just not maybe being more inclusive or really understanding the different ways that people work. As a 3, you're very action oriented, but certain other types are much more either cerebral or they're in their feelings and they need some time to process before they move forward. So as a leader, just getting really curious about other people's leadership or working styles can be really beneficial for a 3. If you are a 4, you are insanely authentic. Your whole motivation is about being original, and you certainly do not want to be ordinary. And how that plays out as a leader is really calling on others to be the same, right? So really wanting to hear those different voices, really wanting to have people, speak on their creativity, act in their creativity, find meaning and purpose behind your work and the role of the organization. And where that can come up in kind of conflict is just sometimes work just needs to be done and the process just needs to be moved forward. So as a 4, you can get really stuck in your creativity and your emotions. And sometimes you just have to say to yourself, okay, I'm putting that on the shelf. I'm good. Let's move forward. If you are a 5, then you are the great observer. You are someone who has so much knowledge and so much depth, and you require a lot of boundaries. So as a leader, as a 5, it might be important for you to share with your team, how to work with me. Just saying the way that I work best is, with a closed door, making sure that you're scheduling time on my calendar and not just popping in. Spontaneity is very hard for a 5. Also ensuring that when you're doing feedback or coming into a meeting that you have the appropriate amount of data or support for whatever the argument or the plan is. But the work for the 5 is also to, in some ways, lighten up a little bit and really access those emotions. Attend one of the work happy hours. Just spend a little bit of time connecting with your team. And as a leader, that will help you develop into more of a holistic leader versus just being one-dimensional. If you are a 6, the loyal skeptic, you are a team player, you are a troubleshooter, you are analyzing. You sometimes can be the glue that holds the team together because you're so focused on wanting to build trust and build a great team that does incredible things, right? So you're kind of behind the scenes, a little bit sometimes carrying the weight of what could go wrong or a little bit of the anxiety around there. So the work as a 6 leader is just to be a little bit vulnerable and share, your concerns or fears, and then also just know that you don't need to hold the weight or the future of the organization on your shoulders, right? So really connecting with your team, empowering others, right? Ensuring that others are contributing in the way that you are, being clear about what could go wrong, what might not go wrong, but also ensuring that other people are supporting you and moving forward so that you don't get stuck in kind of a rabbit hole of almost analysis paralysis where you can't move on. If you are a 7, your leadership style is going to be very optimistic and enthusiastic. So you are high vision. Often 7s are in that founder role. See a lot of 7 entrepreneurs, also in a team setting there as well. And the 7 can be overly optimistic and can sometimes struggle with the details. So as a 7, in order for you to kind of maximize your leadership, you really need to call on either the other Enneagram types internally. So let's say you're a solopreneur or a founder, really channeling the 5, which is like data and understanding, or channeling the 1, which is organization, will help you ensure that you have that more holistic leadership approach. If you're in a team setting, it's really acknowledging, right? Acknowledging that you may need support on the details, you may need support following through, but at the same time, you're like that number 1 person to send into that sales call, that meeting, that vision. You love to brainstorm and you love to collaborate. You also, as a leader, don't love hierarchies. So for you, you want people to feel equal, you want people to feel included, and that's just a high value of yours. If you are the 8, you're the active controller, you are the leader. The 8's core motivation is to be in control. So as an 8 leader, in some ways, it is your superpower to lead, and you will have that kind of more energetic, dominant experience, and people will look to you for advice and how to help them, play a bigger game, how to help them get to the end of the finish line, all of those things. But what also can happen with an 8 is just, it's harder for you to understand when people don't operate the way that you do, right? So I think I often will say to any 8 client is really like going into a meeting with curiosity, trying to understand how other people work, trying to like respect that efficiency always isn't in the kind of end game, and that there's other ways that we can kind of get to a solution. And because an 8 tends to be more reactive, it can be really hard for other Enneagram types to come to 8 for support. And so really just kind of tapping into maybe again some of those other Enneagram types, like channeling the Enneagram 2 as an 8 and being more relationship oriented, can really help you in your career and really amplify your leadership style. And then if you are a 9, you are a consensus builder. So you're very collaborative. You're the peacemaker. You're wanting to make sure that everyone feels like happy and safe and collaborative. What can happen with the 9 is you can be self-forgetting. So as a leader, you might be great at bringing everyone together and building consensus, but you might have a harder time sharing like your thoughts, tapping into your intuition, and people may see that, right? So people are leaning and looking towards you for leadership, looking towards you to be assertive and express your opinion. So I would say the work for the 9 is a little bit more internal as a leader, is really making sure that you're speaking your mind. 9s are incredibly diverse and talented, and I think just from an inner sense, like just a very, like they're just a kind, in all my experience working with 9s, they're just a kind Enneagram type. And so for them, it's like they almost don't want to steal anyone's thunder. And so as someone working with a 9, what you want to do is help the 9, pull the 9 out and have them really express their opinion, because we just don't want the 9s to be sitting back while everyone else is speaking up in a meeting. So as a 9, full permission for you to get out there and, be bold, step into your power. We want to hear from you. So for any questions around leadership type, drop a comment below, let me know. I think that the work of the Enneagram is, okay, we have a default behavior or a default leadership type, but we actually want to draw from all of the Enneagram types in order to become the best leaders that we can be.